Hello guys, and welcome. It is that SW2 Dude here today, bringing you yet another Splatoon 2 video. Now today's video is an aim and optimization video. This video is going to teach you, of course, how to get better aim in Splatoon 2. It's also going to teach you a couple of things of how to minimize the input lag in Splatoon 2, and also to deal with all the interference issues that can also be apparent into Splatoon 2. What I mean by interference issues is when you pick up Splatoon 2 and you've chosen your sensitivity that you use for quite a bit, and you've noticed sometimes it feels different, sometimes it doesn't feel different, sometimes it feels normal, sometimes it feels like trash, sometimes it feels like you can't even aim at all. Basically what I'm trying to say is that there is now a fix to this. There are two interference issues that I'm going to go through with you first, then I'll talk to you guys about input lag, and then of course I'll finish off with how you can choose the right sensitivity. As you can see, this video is for everyone. So without further ado, let's get started. The first thing you're going to do is check the top right corner of my screen. As you can see, there is a cable and an airplane. What this is referencing is that I am in airplane mode and also connected to the internet. How you can do this is by making sure that you have an Ethernet adapter. I'll have a link to this in the description of where you can get one. This is so that you can connect to your Nintendo Switch via wired connection. For whatever reason, the Nintendo Switch and Wi-Fi causes interference issues with your Nintendo Switch controller. This is why you want to make sure that you are within a wired connection. Once you are wired up, make sure that you go to flight mode. You are going to have to take your Nintendo Switch out of the dock to be able to enable flight mode. Once you have done that, also remember to check controller connection Bluetooth on. This is of course just to make sure that you can still connect your controller to the Nintendo Switch. What you also want to make sure that is unchecked is Wi-Fi. For whatever reason, the Nintendo Switch silently connects to all possible Wi-Fi connections in the area, which unfortunately causes interference with your main controller. Once you have done that, you have done the first step. I've already made a video on that particular interference issue, and a lot of people, including myself, noticed that the connection with your controller to Nintendo Switch is way better than before. The next interference issue is something that you're probably going to overlook, and is mainly due to how the Nintendo Switch has been advertised. You do not need to buy any additional equipment for this. All you need to do is head into System Settings, scroll all the way down to Controllers and Sensors. What you need to do now is disconnect all controllers that are connected to your Nintendo Switch / paired to your Nintendo Switch. You will also need to take your Nintendo Switch out of the dock to do this. If you look at the bottom of the screen right there, it says controllers paired to this console 1. This means that I only have one controller, which is my Pro controller, that is connected to the Nintendo Switch. Why this step is so important is because all Nintendo Switch controllers that are paired with your Switch in particular will all silently connect to your Nintendo Switch and cause an interference with the controller that you are currently using. If there is only one controller that's connected to the Nintendo Switch, then you should have no other controllers and no other possible interferences that can mess up your controller's connection to your Switch. This does include the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons that are connected in your Switch dock right now, which means you cannot have your Joy-Cons connected to your Nintendo Switch if you are using a Pro controller. You need to make sure that there's only one controller paired to your console so that there are no connection issues. A way that you'll be able to connect your Nintendo Switch Pro controller back to the Switch once you've put your console back in the dock is just making sure that you've connected a wire into the Pro controller of your choice and then pressing the home button so it connects to the Switch. Shout outs to a viewer of mine who suggested this to me, because from doing this, I literally have no connection issues when playing this game currently. By doing this, you should no longer have the issue where you move your controller and it feels like it's not moving in the way it should be, which honestly, for me personally, has been an issue since I have started playing this game. Now that is everything to do with interferences and connection issues with the Switch itself. I don't know why Nintendo has done it like this, but I'm glad to say that now this is no longer an issue. The next things I'm going to teach you guys about is how to limit the amount of input lag that you might get from your Nintendo Switch. Now, there are basically 3 steps that are very important to mention with this. Now, I'm sorry to say is that if you are playing on a massive TV or big smart TV, whichever, I'm sorry to say that probably may have a large amount of input lag. What you preferably would want is a gaming monitor. What these monitors do is have limited amounts of input lag, which makes it so that it is way easier and much more comfortable to be able to control your character in every single way, as the response when you click a button responds on your monitor way faster. Some of the companies that I would recommend would be Asus, BenQ, AOC, or even Acer. I'll leave a link in the description of one of the best monitors I personally think is really great for Splatoon 2 and has probably the least amount of input lag when it comes to this game. Also, one suggestion is to make sure that your TV or monitor is set to game mode. This is a setting so that you can limit the amount of input lag that actually occurs on your monitor. Not all monitors or TVs have this, but this is something that you're going to have to check for yourselves. The next thing to make sure is to make sure that you are not using an extremely old HDMI cable to your Nintendo Switch. Preferably, you would already want to be using the Nintendo HDMI cable that you were given when you bought your Nintendo Switch. If you don't already have that, or for whatever reason you've broke that, I would suggest to get a high quality HDMI cable that will work. Personally, I'm pretty overkill and I bought an HDMI 2.0 cable just to make sure that the connection between the Switch and the monitor has no issue at all. And the last thing to do with input lag is to do with your settings. So all you need to do is go ahead to System Settings, go down to TV Output, and you want to make sure that your TV resolution is either on 1080p or the respected resolution of the monitor or TV that you are using. You would also want to make sure the RGB range is at full. For whatever reason, limited range has extra input lag, at least for my console. This might not apply to everyone, but personally, I have found some input lag issues when turning on limited range. This is why I keep it on full range all the time. My final suggestion of making sure to limit the amount of input lag that is off of your Switch is to make sure that Pro Controller Wide Communication is not turned on. Now, for whatever reason, when you have this setting turned on, you indefinitely have more input lag than usual. It's very strange for how or why this actually happens. You might have a better connection with your controller in general, but it is something that is very apparent, and you gotta be careful about that. So I would highly suggest to not turn this setting on. Now, with all these steps that I've shown on the screen right now, you should have the least amount of input lag and the least amount of interference that could be possible with your Switch controller. Now I am going to teach you how to actually choose the sensitivity of your choice. So when it comes to aiming with motion controls in general, the first thing that you gotta understand is, of course, how you aim with motion and how comfortable you can be when it comes to aiming with motion. I think also one important thing that you guys need to take into account is how you hold your controller. Personally, I hold my controller fairly flat, just like this. You can of course hold it like this, and it might be a little bit, you kind of have to push the controller forward to make the left and right turn, but I hold it like this just so when I'm moving left and right, I turn it like this, and I turn it like that. When it comes to choosing your sensitivity, there is no perfect sensitivity, and it takes quite a lot of experimentation to tell which sensitivity is right for you. Personally, right now at this current day, the right sensitivity for me is motion 2.5 plus and stick sensitivity of 5. This is something that is perfectly comfortable for me, and as of all the other issues that I've had with the interference stuff, but personally for me, this is perfect. The reason for that is because I feel like I can move my crosshair a very, very comfortable way to each target without any jitter, and just making sure that it's on target every single time. Now this thing, of course, is all very dependent on how much you want to move your wrists, because you're not really moving your arms that much or at all. It's all really within the wrists when you are playing this game. So for me personally, I don't feel like I need to move my wrist that much when it comes to aiming at anything. So as you can see on the hand cam right now, I'm barely really moving my wrist that much, as you can see when I aim with motion. In my opinion, this could be a potential drill that you could probably try when it comes to just trying to find out which sensitivity is comfortable for you. So you go ahead to use the Splash Up Pro and you stand in this position right here. So what you basically could do is move your crosshair back and forth to these two dummies. Of course, you can add shooting with it as well, but if you feel like you can comfortably do this and have no sort of issues or feel like it's uncomfortable in any way, I think this would be a good way to start to find out which sensitivity is comfortable for you. Of course, you can go ahead and add all the other dummies that might be there, but I'd say, honestly, these two are probably the most important, because what this is basically teaching you is how to use motion to turn your camera in a 90-degree angle. So in a way of choosing the right sensitivity for you, I'd say start with 0 sensitivity. This is basically the middle ground of every single sensitivity that is in this game. But I think it's a good way to start, mainly because if you feel, for whatever reason, this is too fast for you, then what you could do is just, of course, slow it down. As you can see, with 0 sensitivity, it takes a little bit more movement for my arms to actually get used to this. But for me personally, this is too slow, and I feel like I have to move my arms, or not really my arms, my wrists way more to be able to do this properly. So personally, I wouldn't go with this sensitivity as of myself, but this might be a sensitivity where you feel already that this is comfortable, or you feel like maybe you need to speed it up, so you would go up higher within the sensitivities that are available for you. Best ways to just check, of course, is always just go up by 1, or 0.5 that I should say, just so you can go ahead and check with the fastest sensitivity. Like if that feels comfortable for you and you feel like you can get really used to that, then go ahead and try and use this for a long period of time. You can then go ahead to try that sensitivity on moving targets, as you can see in the training room. Like, I guess little things that you could try is just to make sure to keep your crosshair on a moving target like this. So as you can see from the furthest moving target, it is, I guess, the fastest one. So I am just basically keeping my crosshair on the target at all times. And then, of course, you can snap to other ones just in case you want to try those as well. You can try really slow, or, of course, slightly faster and just be used to it. Or you can try the fastest one and just make sure that your crosshair is stuck on it at all time. I'd suggest trying this with either the Jet Squelcher or the Splash Up Pro. Maybe the Jet Squelcher, since it has more range. And of course, it has, you know, a long enough crosshair so you can actually just hold it on the target. And when you feel like shooting it, you should be hitting all your shots every single time. So now that we've got our motion controls basically sorted, like we are very, very comfortable with making sure that we can aim with our controller and making sure it's, like, you know, basically perfect. Like we have no issue at all with moving our crosshair from one target to another. It's just very, very simple. Of course, there's a stick that is involved with motion controls, and obviously with this stick, it is very, very helpful tool. The stick only moves within the X-axis, not the Y-axis. If the Y-axis was capable, then what would happen is that we would be moving our controller potentially upside down, because sometimes we would have to reposition the stick and it would actually mess up the way of playing motion controls, which is why it is not a thing in Splatoon 2. But when it comes to choosing your stick sensitivity, of course, again, this is all personal preference. you have all of these stick sensitivities right here, and you can do the exact same thing where you turn your stick sensitivity to 0, and of course you can just check what feels the most comfortable. I think when it comes to finding a perfect stick sensitivity is just to make sure and figure out how much you need to push your stick to make sure that it goes within a general direction of, I guess, an enemy target that you're looking for. Because you don't use the stick to aim at all when you are playing motion controls. You only use it just to move it, your camera within a general direction so that you can make motion do the rest. So, I mean, just like this, like, I don't really need to move my stick too much, but as you can see, like, when it comes to going back and forth, all I'm doing is using my stick just to check what is good for me right there. So, like, as you can see, like, I'm not even moving my wrists. I'm just pushing the stick back and forth, and then motion kind of just does all the rest right there. So, you know, never use your stick to aim. Always use motion controls to aim. So with my 2.5 motion sensitivity and my 5+ stick sensitivity, I think I have the perfect mix of being able to have enough control and feel used to the fast stick and the motion that I have chosen to basically have, you know, aim that is perfect for me. So these are just things that I think that are very important for you to know, just to be able to figure out what is the perfect sensitivity for you. If you choose my sensitivity and you don't like it and ask why can't I aim as good as you, I'm just going to say it's basically because that is not your perfect sensitivity and it's not the one that you are used to at all. So if you followed all the steps that I showed you, this should help you on picking the sensitivity that is perfect for you. You only really need the training room to be able to do this, and then you can go up and go away, get into some turf war just to go, you know, have some, you know, minor practice, maybe even story mode if you are very new to motion, which is something I would suggest for all newcomers to do, just to be able to learn and even probably experiment more with what sensitivity is more comfortable for them. So yeah, that's all I honestly gotta say, guys. Like, this is pretty much the way of how you can basically figure out the perfect sensitivity for you. The rest is pretty much all on you. It's just basically getting used to the sensitivity that you've picked and feel comfortable with, and just getting used to the muscle memory, or getting muscle memory off that, so that you don't have to think about, you know, choosing another sensitivity or anything like that. You just want to basically pick one that you are always used to and just have no problem with. So, and of course, this is also how you can have the least amount of input lag to be able to aim better, because this was like little things that will help you, as every frame in this game does count, and also having no interference issues that this game has, or the Nintendo Switch in particular has, which would make it much more of a bothersome, basically makes it more bothersome to play this game. So, I had to speak a lot for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope this really helped you. Please feel free to share this with anybody struggling with motion controls, struggling with connection issues, or weird feelings when playing motion controls, because I think this is definitely the video that will help you to figure all these out. So, I know it's been 3 years in the making, and I wish I figured this out sooner than later, but, you know, it's better now than never. So, thank you very much, everyone, for watching this video. Please, if you did enjoy, share it with everyone. Like this video if you really enjoyed it. It's very much appreciated, and it'll help my channel. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Follow my Twitch and Twitter, both in the description below. Do it for both if you're feeling generous. Also, consider joining my public Discord server, where you can go ahead and talk to myself and my Dude Society community. It's also the greatest place on earth to be notified when I do go live for a Twitch stream. So if you want to catch me streaming some Splatoon, it's a great place for that as well. With all that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I shall see you guys in a future one.